close to $4 billion in infrastructure spending will be fast-tracked over the next 4 years as part of an economic stimulus package the Prime Minister says will supercharge investment.
In a speech to the Business Council of Australia, Scott Morrison will also reject calls for direct cash injections to fuel the sluggish economy, describing them as panicked reactions to the situation. Live now to political reporter Eliza Edwards. Eliza, good morning. The PM will argue there is enough stimulus flowing into the economy.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and it's been given a major shot in the arm today. In response to calls from the Reserve Bank to accelerate infrastructure spending, the government is doing just that, bringing forward $3.8 billion in funding, $1.8 billion of which will be spent over the next 18 months. This will go to shovel-ready projects around the country, with announcements in Queensland expected today after South Australia's road funding was revealed on Monday, but no state or territory is expected to miss out on this investment. Now, on top of this infrastructure spending, the PM will point to drought funding and the income tax cuts rolled out in July, saying this amounts to $9.5 billion in stimulus flowing into the economy in the near term. In his speech to the Business Council tonight, Scott Morrison will argue that that level of stimulus is enough for now, and the government must also focus on protecting the budget returning to surplus, saying the primary focus of that is to pay down debt.
We'll also hear a bit about his deregulation agenda. I guess it's just cutting red tape by another name.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll see elements of the government's deregulation agenda revealed tonight. It's all about cutting red tape and facilitating business investment. So the government's been facing a lot of calls to stimulate the economy. We're getting a clear picture now of what that's looking like. Laura and Pete.
The Prime Minister will accelerate infrastructure investment by bringing forward close to $4 billion in funding over the next 4 years, responding in part to sluggish growth and persistent calls from the Reserve Bank for extra economic stimulus. Scott Morrison will now spend an extra $1.8 billion this year and next on major projects. Reshaping his 10-year plan, the government will now commit $3.8 billion earlier than scheduled in partnership with states that have identified shovel-ready projects.
Queensland and Western Australia's investments will be announced in coming days following the extra funding in South Australia that was revealed on Monday. It's expected every state and territory will benefit from the accelerated funding. The announcement will be made at the Business Council of Australia's annual dinner, where the Prime Minister is also expected to reveal elements of his deregulation agenda in a bid to boost investment. In addition, the Prime Minister's speech will justify the government's firm commitment to a budget surplus, declaring its primary purpose is to pay down debt. Scott Morrison is expected to signal that he intends for the surplus to reduce the more than $19 billion in interest Australia is paying annually as a result of more than a decade of deficits.